to the new officers. This time, I think that they're in fear and that they take their own course of action. And they are stopped, really, by London security guards. Now, not much is known of what happened on that day. I mean, there is a suggestion that these guards, who I have to say are poorly paid, ordinary black working class people who are sent out to confront on behalf of this multinational firm of exploiters the demonstration that's coming to them. But whatever happened, 2 guards were killed, and one of them in particular was burned to a cinder.
I, therefore, have placed the remaining years of my life in your hands.
Cyril Ramaphosa was close to Nelson Mandela. We thought he would succeed the Mandela presidency. After the massacre, I was hoping to have an honest discussion about what really took place at Marikana. But he quickly made it clear that he would speak only in general terms until appearing before the commission.
We're not the first country to have a wave of strikes. Let's just get that clear. Many countries, both middle-income countries, low-income countries, and your high-income countries, have been through waves of strikes. And many of those strikes in some countries have even toppled governments.
You know, it wasn't as if the 16th was a day isolated from context. You have to look back to the Monday before that Thursday, when a group of 150 to 200 miners went from that copy to Korea 3 mine, where they heard there were still some miners working and they wanted to tell them to down tools. Intimidation, solidarity, you can call it what you want. They were turned back by the security of the mine, who told them, go back with that route. They went back with that route. Halfway back to that copy, they were met by a cordon of police. Unusually, led by the Deputy Commissioner for the Northwest, General Mpembe.
Kodwa sinenkinga, inkinga yethu yilezi zinto eniziphethe azikho emthethweni. Manje mayibeke nifuna kuhamba ngiqala umuntu ngamunye anginikeze lezi zinto. Hop, lalelani ke, lalelani.
Lo into lothina cela lapha kanina. Thina cela lokuhamba lapha lo ndawo lothina Thina amahlala lapho lo ndawo lokuhlala kalomgqibelo thina buyile lapho lo ndawo kathina nabantu ama-security kalo mine yena fikile dubula thina nalabantu kalo nawo banabulala 2 muntu lapha kathina yena lo ndawo thina phathile lo into lo thina ilwile nalo muntu.
Yebo baba.
Number 1. Nina maphoyisa straight. Nina maphoyisa straight. Thina khona lapha ka road me. Thina lungisa lo marika thina lapha road me. Thina jopha phasi mgodi. Thina iyilwa nalo munye moto yena khona lo into lo thina funa lungisa.
And you then begin to understand the standpoint of those employees. They say, by the way, we have no issue with you as the police. Now, that's very fundamental. It's like they want to remind everybody including the police, that in a democracy, workers negotiate with the employers. The police should not be this shield between employees' rights and employers' obligations. The very interesting part about it is when the negotiation between General Pembe and some of the worker leaders, including Tsineni No, the so-called man in the green blanket, Mambush. Now, when it is clear that the employees have put their position, look, if you want to disarm us, it's okay, but you need to escort us from here to the mountain.
Niyosinikeza zona kuphi? Laphi entabeni?
General Mpembe reaches a stage where he says, now let me get you straight. Are you saying if we escort you to the mountain, when you get there, you'll hand over the weapons to us? And they say yes. And at that point, he gets a telephone call.
The police have given them ample time.
In fact, when one looks at that clip, this attitude is radical before and after that phone call.
Hey, ngifuna imkhonto. Ngifuna imkhonto. Phela yonke into manje mangingatholi imkhonto ngeke ngimdedele. Ngiyakaunta ke. Ngiyakaunta.
They go into their song and they just get up and they go. And again, to his credit, at that point, General Mpembe doesn't say, shoot these buggers. He allows them. They march and they simply provide a corridor.
This group of miners were walking slowly, deliberately. From the video footage you see, they don't seem to pose any threat. Suddenly, you see tear gas being fired, one of the Nyalas, some shots fired. They get ignored. They just keep going. And there's a line of police jogging alongside them on the one side. There's armored vehicles. Keeps going. Another volley of shots and tear gas, and the miners crack and break.
Stop there, stop. As the people are beginning to run, do you agree that from what we see, people start running around after the stun grenades have been thrown and exploded? It's only then that people start running around.
Correct, Chairperson. None of the commanders admit to having given an instruction. In fact, somebody, you told us, alleged that you had given the instruction, and you were quite emphatic that that was not true. But none of the commanders gave the order according to the instructions, according to the information that you have. So the whole thing is very puzzling, isn't it?
And in that chaos, 3 miners are killed, one of whom seems to have been stabbed to death. And it's unclear who caused that death in what circumstances. Also, 2 cops get caught up and get killed.
Two strikers were not killed at the scene. 2 strikers were killed perhaps 300 meters, another 800 meters from that scene. My interpretation is that these 2 strikers were fleeing and running away from the scene and were pursued by police officers. One in particular, I believe that when he was perhaps 800 meters away from the scene and was running through a river and up the bank on the other side, I believe he was targeted by a police officer and was shot, and I describe that as being an execution. People took cell phone pictures of the dead police, and this circulated through all police circles. Every single province got these. 2 policemen had been killed. Now, to be realistic, we know that cops have a kind of ironclad rule. You take us out, we're going to take you out. You don't get away with killing policemen. That's police forces across the world, actually.
It's 2 days before the massacre. Already a total of 9 people have been killed, with the latest, a NUM official being marked by a cow's skull, the sign of a traitor. Conflict between the strikers and NUM goes from bad to worse.
It worries us more as to what is the motive, because no organization worth its salt can embark on this barbaric way of raising issues. And we believe that the partners know that NUM will never be involved in this kind of a barbaric way of dealing with issues.
Lonmin begins its campaign of pinning responsibility for the violence on the striking miners.
We did not anticipate this type of violence, and I don't think any organization in this country could ever anticipate this type of violence, because it's not normal. So that's why we're looking and searching and using the police, particularly the crime intelligence, to understand the root cause of the situation.
Ronnie Casseroles joined the fight against apartheid in the 1960s, following the Sharpeville massacre. He sat on the National Executive Committee of the ANC for 20 years and was considered by the white minority regime as one of their most dangerous opponents.
Why the use of police force armed to the teeth against 2,000-3,000 miners who were not occupying mining property or territory? We're not occupying any strategic point. We're not blocking the national highway or any minor road. They were seated at a distance from any key point.
The high police visibility and presence will remain until the situation is completely stable.
And currently we are seeing sort of a standoff here between police and mine workers. What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, this is part of our phased approach in terms of discussing and negotiating with the protesters, and that's the process that we're busy with at this stage.
I'm not at all sure why they brought in a hostage negotiator to try and negotiate with 3,000 strikers. It does seem bizarre, particularly as the strikers who always said, we want to negotiate, but we want to negotiate with management.
They are coming.
Okay, they're coming forward. We've got 5 people coming forward.
They are coming, Colonel.
Okay. Talk to them and tell them, please, they must leave any weapons there. We're going to talk without weapons. It's our promise, and nothing will happen to them. It's a promise.
The National Police Commissioner ordered Lonman to produce photographs of the demonstrators. She then ordered Lonman to identify the ringleaders.
I need to indicate that the management did assist me to identify some of the strikers, and the others said that they will also continue to assist me to identify them from the photos.
But what is clear is that the person that they would have identified, because he was the main negotiator, is Mr. Noki, the man in the green blanket. What we know about Mr. Noki is that he has 14 bullet holes in him. He is dead.
He's got a loud trailer. No, man,
Oh, we can't hear. That's the problem. That's the problem. Don't hear him because he doesn't hear.
Can I move forward? Can I move forward?
Okay, stop, Kali. He's asking, can you turn the motor off so we can talk? We need to tell him we cannot.
We cannot have a mandate.
To be heard over the noise of the running engine, strike leader Manbush climbs onto the armoured vehicle to talk to the police hostage negotiator.
Thank him. Thank him.
Macintosh, what's your name? Kamala.
Okay. He's saying he's tired.
Bana silwi sihleli. Kaze funa umqeqeshe kura zosiphendula ngemali esifunayo. Kuphela. Sikwazi futhi emsebenzini. Kodwa engekasiphendula imali esifunayo. Asizisuka apha. Singazisuswa ngabo lamaphoyisa lapha.
But Lonman continued to refuse to meet the strikers. What happened next was only discovered a year into the commission, when the police were ordered to hand over files that they had hidden. It is a transcript of a conversation that took place 2 days before the massacre between an executive of Lonmin and the Provincial Commissioner of Police. It reveals the state and Lonmin putting their heads together on how to break the strike before it spread to other mines.
We need to act such that we kill this thing.
Immediately, yes.
When tomorrow we have to move in, if today we do not find cooperation in these people, we need to move in such that we kill it.
So I agree with you, Commissioner. If we can arrest these people, because the longer it goes, it is giving all the other opportunists to comment and seize the opportunity, and then it gets out of control.
That is it.
So I think yes. Let tomorrow be the D-Day where we issue the ultimatum and say, if you do not show up for work, sorry, that is it.
right, it is 8 minutes after 8. We say good morning to you. Welcome to the Forum at 8 here on SAFM, South Africa. I'm going to start with the National Union of Mine Workers president who's here with me in studio, Senzeni Zogwana. A very good morning to you, sir. I thank you for your time.
Morning, Kolani.
In our Pretoria studios, we are joined there by Mr. Bernard Mokoena. He is Executive Vice President at Lonmin. Mr. Mokoena, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Also, I'm joined here in the studio by Joseph Matunjwa. He is the president of AMCU. A very good morning to you, Mr. Matunjwa.
As they were marching to gather at the stadium, guys came out of the offices of NUM, fired at the workers.
There was no firing at anybody on Friday. This further confirms my view that AMCU was behind the march. The fact that...
One way of achieving that is if the leaders of the two the unions come together, go there publicly together and say, okay, for now, let's go back to work.
We are ready. Is the car outside ready to take us there?
Is that too difficult? These are difficult times.
I'm saying, Kolani.
Mr. Mokoena?
Yes, Kolani, our position as management is as follows. We agree people must be disarmed. We want to meet the structures of the unions to discuss any grievance or concern in the most civilized manner, without pangas and without guns. We can do it now. We can do it as soon as possible.
We are ready. Let's go then. Let's go. Let's go to that mountain.
Is that an agreement?
During a radio interview, the leaders of the trade unions agree on air to address the miners at the mountain. Lonmin's Bernard Mokoena remains silent about whether he will join them.